is, a bunch of guys in the NBA, Duncan Robinson, JJ Redick, obviously just retired, CJ McCollum, a bunch of NBA guys have got podcasts. You're one of the most interesting off-court personalities, as well as being a star on the basketball court as well. I feel like people would really enjoy listening to you talking on a regular basis. Are we going to see a Spencer Dinwiddie podcast anytime soon?
No, unfortunately not. I mean, I'm a guy that likes to take his naps during the day. I don't try to add any more tasks or chaos than necessary. I've got a business in Galaxy and I play basketball. So those are my two things, and I keep those the main things business-wise.
Welcome to a new season of the Hoop Genius podcast. Thank you all for joining us. And I'm extremely excited and extremely honored today to have a very special guest on the show. His team reached out to me a while back talking about a new project that he's got underway that he's going to tell you about. But without further ado, it's the main man for the Washington Wizards, the new starting point guard. The franchise is going in a new direction. Mr. Spencer Dinwiddie, thank you for joining us and thank you for taking the time. How are you doing, my man?
I'm good. Thank you for having me. Really appreciate your time.
More than welcome, man. You're welcome on the podcast anytime you want. Feel free to hit me up. The first thing, how has it been, your journey back and joining the Washington Wizards as well?
It's been a whirlwind. The last, 10 months or so since I got hurt. It's been a lot. I had to do the prehab stage, get, swelling out so I could have surgery. Then obviously everybody knows kind of about the rehab process. I was documented on my Instagram a little bit. Shout out to all the people that were involved with that. Got cleared. The Nets lost though, so I didn't get to come back for the finals. Continued the rehab and just kind of training process as normal throughout the summer. Got signed, obviously, in the biggest sign and trade in history in terms of pieces, right? Yeah. Got here, training camp, so it's been a ton, man. And, I just feel overwhelmingly blessed and grateful to be back on the court and be healthy and to start knocking the rust off and, getting back on the bike.
Now, the Brooklyn Nets, who you were with before, had one of the most stacked rosters and they were everyone's favorite to go on and win the championship last year. What was it like having to watch that from the sidelines? How badly did you want to get back on the court, especially with the injuries to James and then Kyrie? What was it like, what going through your mind watching all of that happen and watching Kevin try and carry the squad, knowing that how much you could help him if you were out there?
Yeah. It was weird, man. You came into the season with one group and we thought obviously we were going to win. That was the plan from the gate, championship or bust kind of. I get hurt, some things happen. And then obviously we trade for James. We trade a lot of the pieces that I was accustomed to being around, a lot of my friends and stuff like that. And I was already, in LA rehabbing for the most part. So it's kind of like an interesting dynamic, right? I'm kind of away, I'm rehabbing, it's a different team, all that stuff. And then right as I'm getting ready to try to kind of get integrated back into the team, obviously all the injuries are happening. I'm like, okay, I got to get back, you know what I mean? To help this push because, if one of them are healthy, we probably still win. You know what I mean? But it's because it was a half a Harden, you know what I mean? Versus a full Harden. So, it was just tough, and to have all that happen at the precise time that wouldn't allow for the flexibility to possibly give us the wins that we needed was hard to watch.
Now, you, of course, were part of that 5-team deal that saw you land with the Washington Wizards, but you were part of a sign and trade. So obviously you had to give the go-ahead on signing with the Wizards. Why Washington? Why was it the Wizards that was the team that was most attractive for you to go with?
I actually had a viral clip about picking a college a while back.
Yeah, I saw that. I love the metaphor that you used.
Yeah, I think for AT is kind of very similar. Especially given similar money, you want to go to a place where, they really believe in you, they really love you. And also you have a certain rapport with their stars. So, having a solid relationship with Brad, the organization will love me and all that other stuff. And, even embrace my crazy crypto stuff, it made it kind of a no brainer. and it gives us a chance to do something special out here.
That's right. You know, we're going to talk more about basketball in a bit, but you touched on it there with the crypto stuff. Let's go back to when you signed your contract extension in Brooklyn and you wanted to become the first NBA athlete to attempt to tokenize your playing contract, which was, I remember the sports media at the time, everyone's going crazy. I think most people didn't really understand that at the time. I think a lot of people thought you wanted to be paid in Bitcoins, but that wasn't what you were trying to do. Can you explain, you know, just for the fans who are kind of newer to this thing and first getting their feet into the crypto situation, what you were trying to do with tokenizing your contract?
Yeah. So the premise of kind of the crypto space, right, is decentralization.
Yeah.
And then if you look at the entertainment industry, the value is the player, right? And the people that are paying for this value are the fans, right? So how can you decrease this friction? You look at, and third parties do have, their benefits. Like the NBA makes it very seamless for a fan to watch a game, right? But doesn't necessarily make it seamless for them to interact with us personally, which is also something that they want to do. You look at sports gambling, you look at the way that people, bet on stat lines and things like that. Like there's a need and a want and an urgency to just get inside the game more and more and more. So, by democratizing your contract and allowing fans to get in an investment capacity, right? It allows them to really ride the roller coaster of, your playing career, really be invested in you. You know what I'm saying? And so it offers certain benefits to the athlete as well as the fan. In terms of with the athlete, right? Having this fan base in part obviously helps boost your money-making potential. Like it's no secret, like people who sell the most jerseys typically are allowed to kind of stay in the league a little bit longer than the ones that don't. Also, the upfront capital can do wonders for training purposes and all this other stuff. So there's benefits there for a fan. Obviously, in terms of an investment, there's benefits to, identifying a talent early and being right and betting on a penny stock per se, right? He blows up and becomes an all-star or superstar. Then, yeah, you know what I'm saying? You have a certain return on investment. So, it's a way to kind of just get even closer and deeper inside of the game. I wanted to do it on a somewhat smaller scale in terms of doing it with my contract because it's relatively safe money. Obviously, the league had a lot of pushback about certain little triggers and bonuses and all this other stuff that was supposed to go on. But, we still ended up pulling off like a very small kind of bond just to kind of prove the concept and prove that obviously the NBA wasn't going to sue me and kick me out of the league, because that's one of the things that was like threatened at the time and people got all scared about. But it allowed to kind of set the stage for all the stuff that came next and Galaxy and all that other stuff. So, I'm thankful and grateful for the experience. And, sometimes when you're the first, you take bullets. Like it's just part of the game. You got to be ready for that.
That's right. A pioneer in the crypto space when it comes to athletes. But you mentioned a little bit there about the bonuses in your contract. I had a tweet that went a little bit viral looking at your contract with the Wizards. I'm right in thinking that you get a 1.5 million bonus for playing 50 plus games this season, which is natural given that you're coming back from an injury, but a $1 bonus for winning a championship.
Yeah.
What's the thinking behind that? Because I can't figure it out. Like winning an NBA championship, surely you'd put in, I don't know, like 10 mil for winning the championship, given that the Wizards aren't the favorite this season.
Yeah. No. So the way it was explained to me was there was a certain amount of like money, both guaranteed and non-guaranteed and all sort of stuff that had to kind of be written in, and you had to give bonuses based on these certain tiers. So obviously with us not being the favorite, if you were to take all my bonus money and put it as a championship bonus, we may or may not get that. But taking basically all my bonus money and making it a 50-game bonus, I probably should get it. You know what I mean? If I do my job, I stay healthy, all the stuff that I'm supposed to do, I should get it. So really it was like the Wizards kind of throwing me a solid, because they could have flipped it and did the 1.5 for the championship and the $1 for the 50 games. And I'd be sitting here like, man, come on.
So if you guys do win the championship, what are you going to do with that? Are you going to frame the dollar? What are you going to do with that $1 that you get for your championship winning bonus?
Shoot, my agent actually wants it framed, but I think I would need Ted to sign it for sure. And I'd have to frame it. It'd be epic.
100%. You've got a lot of innovative ideas. And I saw an interesting piece you did with the Players Tribune about if you were commissioner for the day. And you said you'd do the first round of the playoffs and the play-in tournament in a centralized location like Las Vegas, and you would take a percentage of all of the income that the city earns, you know, restaurant revenue and transport revenue, etc., whilst the event was going on there, which I thought was a pretty interesting concept. But if you were the commissioner and you could change any other rules, which rules or what else would be up there for you to change about the NBA right now?
Right now? Oh man.
If Adam Silver rings you right now and says, Spencer, I'm gonna be your magic genie, like in Aladdin. You can have 3 wishes right now to change in the NBA. What are the 3 things you're changing?
3 things. Oh man, see, I don't know. That's actually really tough. I'm happy that they stopped the stop behind like jump backwards into shot thing. Like
the Trae Young shot, if we're gonna call it that.
Yeah, like I absolutely couldn't stand that. It used to drive me up a wall. So I'm happy they changed that. I hope the refs obviously don't take it too far, because like getting fouls and things is part of the game. But like I just really hated when guys like jump backwards. You know what I'm saying? And you'd be like, bro, like what I'm gonna do? So that was a good one. I'm trying to think of things that aren't in my Players Tribune thing. Can we get back to that? I mean,
we'll circle back. We'll circle back. But in the meantime, let's talk about Galaxy, which is, you know, the Creator Galaxy Foundation that you, am I right in thinking you are the co-founder of?
Yes.
You're the co-founder of it. And, you know, I could explain it right now using all the stuff in the press release, but I'd rather you explain it in terms that the fans are going to understand what you're trying to do in giving power back to creators.
Yeah. I mean, shoot, like think about some of what we already talked about in terms of like trying to decrease friction between the player and the fan in the NBA arena, right? That applies to anybody that has a community and a fan base. Furthermore, obviously, look at what went on with Instagram and all that stuff going down in a centralized manner, right? So we're trying to kind of decentralize social. So it's going to have like some of that Web 2 feel. So people are very familiar with that, you know, Cameo, OnlyFans, you know, capability, the Twitter, Instagram type of interface. So people are very familiar with what you're going to see and how it's going to feel in your hand. But pretty much the premise is everybody has a community. It's about personal monetization. You start off with, like I said, familiar tools, FaceTime calls, video Dropbox, which is basically what OnlyFans is. You know, paid follows, you know, if somebody wants to pay you $1 to follow them or birthday messages, et cetera. And then it kind of scales into the future, because once somebody has this social token and this social token has its own economy and can trade apples to apples for another person. So that means that Spencer, you know, can trade for LeBron, can trade for, you know, Cristiano Ronaldo, can trade for the top Instagram model, or, you know, whoever. Everybody will have their own community. Right. And you can trade apples to apples. Now you get into this next level architecture where social tokens have this real world value and utility. So going forward, that's kind of what we aim to do, is to kind of liquefy this trapped capital in terms of like this personal trapped capital, the talent and all that other stuff that people are trying right now so desperately to monetize. And as the Instagram and social media game has evolved, it's become harder and harder for, you know, that social demographic to do that. You know what I'm saying? 5, 6, 7 years ago, you know, if you had 100,000 followers, brands would just throw money at you because they thought, oh, 100,000 followers means you got, you know, a bunch of people. Then people started buying followers. So brands got smarter, said, oh, it's not about that, it's about your likes. Then people started buying likes. Then it was like, we need to see your like to follower ratio, and the algorithms have to match up. And, you know, if you have too many bots, we're not going to pay you. And so the money started drying up. And now pretty much the only one place that people make a lot of money is YouTube. But, you know, to go viral on YouTube, you really gotta kind of knock it out of the park. So it's, you know, it's a crazy game that we're playing, and some of these micro transactions that crypto will make possible will actually allow for greater monetization. You know what I'm saying? It'll be a lot easier for somebody, if the toolkit is there, to pay their favorite Instagram model $1 just to follow them on Twitter. And, you know, if they have 10,000, 20,000, 50,000, 100,000 fans, and they decide they want to follow them on Twitter, Instagram, whatever it may be, you know, then you can make that $100,000 like that they want versus hoping that Pepsi sees your profile and gives you a, brand deal.
So it's great for the consumer to create a relationship. I think that's something that's really missing. And that's what Twitter's tried to introduce recently with their tip jar that they have on your profile now. And you can pay to like super follow someone. Because I think that paid content is going to be the wave moving forward, given how popular things like OnlyFans were. But how do brands get involved? Say I'm on your platform, I'm on Galaxy, and Mo's there talking about basketball, interacting with the fans. But then Air Jordan want to come along and say, Mo, we've got a new sneaker coming out. We want you to talk about this. Do they get involved through the same mechanism as the fans, or is there going to be a separate route for brands to be involved with creators?
It's a separate route. So if you're familiar with the crypto ecosystem and you're familiar with kind of like airdrops, and we kind of have a proprietary engine that is designed to make it very kind of point and click to where the brand can interact with the influencer's fan base. So it's kind of like, obviously, again, pass through marketing, but it'll be, I'm trying to figure out how to describe this without giving it away, but it'll just be a very kind of seamless pass through type of transaction. And it's designed so that everybody doesn't have friction in the process. The influencer gets what they design or they want out of it. The fan kind of gets these perks and bonuses just from being, within that community, and the obviously the brand starts to kind of spread out what they want to spread out to their targeted communities.
Now, am I right in thinking my boy Dwight Howard is already involved? You've got a few other names. Who can people expect to see on the Galaxy app, when things get going properly and start exploding? Have you got any other names down at the moment?
Oh, man. I mean, we got 150 people, I think, signed up that have combined following over like 110 million on their socials. I mean, Dwight Howard's one of them. Ezekiel Elliott's one of them. I mean, we got a lot of basketball, football, because that's, where our relationships lead very seamlessly. But we have TikTokers and YouTubers, and just it varies. I mean, yeah, it varies. Like I'd have to get the list from the guys and run you down that list.
That's what I'm sure the fans can go check it out. All the information's out there online. But I heard something interesting recently about the Galaxy app and yourself. I heard you were trying to get the Washington Wizards to have the Galaxy logo on their jersey as the sponsor. The Geico deal ran out for the little patch on the left shoulder of the jersey. What happened with that? NBA be hating, honestly. Like, I think he needs to do t-shirts with that on, because I've heard you say that a couple times.
Oh man, it's just like at this point, that's one rule I would change. Actually, let's go. So that's rule number 2.
Okay.
I think player to team or player to NBA deals should be cleared by a third party arbitrator. Like the NBA kind of rules with an iron fist and just kind of like stamp, no, you can't do it. Well, why can't I do it? Because we said so. Well, that doesn't make any sense. You know what I'm saying? Now, I complete transparency, right? You don't want cap circumvention or anything of that nature, of course. So if the Wizards were going to sell me the patch deal for $1, then yeah, no, that's wrong, right? Or sell my company the patch for $1, then that's wrong. But if they publicly say, hey, look, we value our patch deal at $12 million. The third party comes in and says, hey, they're right. The patch deal is worth $12 million. And then my company comes in and says, okay, here's your $12 million. What's wrong with that? You know what I'm saying? Like, why can't I promote my, third party brand? And even if it was a little sticky to say like it was the Spencer logo, right? But this has nothing to do with it. This is like literally my app. Like I just happen to be obviously a co-founder of this app. So it wasn't going to be, me personally buying it just to put like Spencer Dinwiddie on the patch to be facetious. It's literally a business, right? Like, and in the nation's capital, for a team I play for, like right down the street from Capitol Hill, like, it had a certain amount of impact being cryptocurrency forward and all that other stuff. So I was very disappointed in that ruling, but it's part of the game. Like I'm not gonna sacrifice my job just to like prove a point, because people were asking if I would like get lawyers involved and blah blah. And it's like, bro, like there's bigger fish to fry, and I have a season to be focused on. I'm not gonna be a distraction in that manner. Like it just doesn't make sense. But I definitely don't like that rule, because there wasn't any ill intention there. It literally was something to push a legitimate business forward.
Do you think you'd be allowed to sponsor another team's jersey then, if it wasn't the team you were currently employed by?
No. So NBA team, I can't do it. But we've had a lot of WNBA and MLB, I believe, actually reach out. We've had quite a few teams reach out after the story broke.
Do you think the kind of lines are going to get blurred though, given that, for example, say if you're LeBron James, for example, and you were re-signing your deal with Nike, and like the deal he did with Beats by Dre, they gave him upfront capital, but also stocks or shares in the company itself. Do you think then that would start blurring the lines if there were businesses that you had shares of but weren't the sole owner or founder of? Would you still encounter the same problems?
I mean, I think it depends on how many shares and what type of shareholder you are. If you're a minority or majority, so I think there's, again, like lines there that would have to be discussed. But I think at the end of the day, like the main thing is like, if you're paying market value for something, you shouldn't be restricted from being able to pay it. Like whether I'm a majority, minority, whatever it is, like, I could have, some shares in Geico, right? A publicly traded company. And then if they buy the Wizards patch, like it's fine, right? But because I'm the majority shareholder, it's not, right? But at the end of the day, they set the price. Like if I'm paying market value, this should not be an issue. You know what I'm saying? If a third party agrees this is market value, it should not be an issue. It only becomes an issue if I'm paying like $1 or whatever it is. And, so basically they just give me the patch because I'm their, player.
It's an interesting position to be in, and to even have these ideas is really quite forward thinking. I know there's a few guys in the league that have these kind of business interests and do a lot of stuff, off the court when it comes to that side of things. Do you ever see, because I always think about it like this, that somewhere down the line in the future that the NBA could possibly progress to a point where the majority of teams are actually owned by players? For example, I always have this theory that LeBron is going to retire and then go and buy the Cleveland Cavaliers, or how Kevin Garnett wanted to buy the Minnesota Timberwolves. Do you see that as ever happening down the line and the NBA being owned by former players?
That's tough to say, because that would involve the owners wanting to sell, right? So it's a little bit of like chicken egg. I think with business savvy, with the ambition that current players have, I definitely think you will have more players not just interested in ownership, but capable of doing it, right? So not just the Michael Jordans and LeBrons, but you're going to see KG. I mean, shoot, you'll probably see Steph Curry and Kevin Durant, and these guys make enough money to now be in that caliber of wealth to be in that conversation. It also depends on if the owners are willing to sell. So it's a two-part question. So that I can't really answer well, but I think there will be a lot more players that are just in general interested in it and make a push to do it. And but it probably be a long process, because a lot of these teams are owned by like what will be just families. You know what I'm saying? Like think about it. After somebody buys it, like for example, Josiah bought the Nets, right? If he doesn't want to sell, like he'll probably pass it down to his boys. You know what I mean? And I'm sure they'll have children. So like it in a lot of ways, sometimes it's a family thing.
Yeah, I feel it's like the Lakers with the Buss family and Jeannie running the show over there. And